You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast, the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me on socials at SamLittle44 and the podcast at Maple Footy Pod. And now there's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, and welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast. And today we have quite the cool guest. He played university ball with the University of Calgary, where he achieved a lot, like being named an academic All-Canadian twice. He was introduced to CPL fans by the way of the U Sports draft with Cavalry FC. Since then, he's become a mainstay with the team. He's won the CPL Shield and the North Star Cup. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome Eryk Kobza today. So, Eryk, thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me. Excited for it.
Thank you. And I just want to start at the beginning, as I do with a lot of these, of why soccer? What made you want to play this game? As in Canada, we have just so many options. So why soccer?
Yeah, I guess I'll start by saying I was, I guess, I picked up a ball on my feet probably at 4 years old, and I guess I was pretty active growing up. The one main thing, I guess, hockey's a big thing in Canada, but
Yeah.
I'm not a great skater, so that was quickly out of the question. And then, yeah, I grew up in North Vancouver, so there's a lot of outdoor activities, hiking, skiing. Did a bit of volleyball, basketball, kind of did pretty much all the sports, and then yeah, stuck with soccer. I guess I found a passion and I rode with it.
Awesome. And was there a moment where you realized that you could go probably quite far in the game, whether it would be to university and then to the pro leagues?
Um, yeah, I'd probably say that. Well, I mean, growing up watching soccer, playing it kind of day in day out, I always loved it, and I always thought, what can I do with it? So going pro was always a dream. I think a lot of kids dream of it.
Yeah.
The actual road to becoming a professional, I think, is a lot harder than people think. But I think the kind of switch in my head turned when I got invited to the Whitecaps Academy.
Yeah.
I spent 6 years there. I got in initially when I think it was a long time ago, maybe 13, 14.
Mhm.
So that was kind of the first introduction to a professional environment. Um, my last year there was when they first moved to the NSDC, the training center. So that kind of made everything a little more real when you're in the same building as the first team,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So yeah, it was a really cool experience. A lot of good years of my life. But yeah, I think that's probably the moment.
That's awesome. And in university, you did get a good few individual accolades as well. Did that make you even more hungry and kind of make that goal feel more attainable, I guess, in a sense of you were doing so well at that level that now with the CPL and with the U Sports and whatnot, was it kind of like, okay, maybe this could be a legitimate route here?
Yeah, yeah. I'd say I probably took an unconventional route, probably to most guys in the pros now. Once I left the Whitecaps Academy, it was a little
Mm,
bit of a. I think I had to take a step back a little bit to then progress forward. I didn't think I well, I didn't make the jump to the MLS level from the academy,
mm,
so I tried to find it or tried to pivot and kind of find a different route. So yeah, it took me to the University of Calgary. The my head coach Brendan O'Connell brought me there, and I knew him for a long time. We built a good relationship, and kind of he was the one that kind of pushed me along. And look, then the CPL came about. I think the CPL was first introduced in 2019, and that was my first year in university. So it kind of came at a good time. Um, and then a couple years down the line, I'm getting drafted to Cavs when I'm finishing my degree, so it kind of worked out.
yeah.
Uh, and then I guess history's written itself. So yeah.
Awesome. And was there was there a player that you really kind of looked up to while you were kind of coming up as well? Like maybe it was a white cap, or maybe it was someone abroad, or maybe it was a Canadian. Was there a player where you're kind of like, yeah, like this is someone who I'd really like to model my game after?
Um, Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think there's
Mhm.
one player that I would say that I model my game after. I often get the question of what team do I support. I didn't feel the connection growing up to
Yeah.
one specific team, but I do enjoy watching football, and I watch a lot of it. So no, I wouldn't say there's one particular individual. Um, but when you grow up, I don't know, watching the Iniestas, Xavis when I'm playing midfield,
Yeah.
and then you see Ramos as a center back, These kinds of individuals, like there's a lot of attributes that you can take from someone like that. So yeah, I think I just watched a lot and kind of try to take as much in as I could.
Awesome. And then, of course, you did have a brief stint in Poland as well while you were developing. What was that experience like of going to Poland, like halfway across the world in a sense, and further developing your game? What was that experience kind of like for you?
Yeah, so I decided to do that during COVID.
Mhm.
Obviously, the university season wasn't um, didn't really happen. I know they played a few games, but it wasn't really a true season. So my background's Polish. I've been there countless of times, so I thought it'd be a good opportunity to test myself,
Mhm.
expose myself to a new environment. Yeah, so I went over there. It was a tough time again with COVID,
Yeah.
a lot of social isolation and stuff. So it was a lot of train, go home, eat, sleep, and repeat. So it was a bit tough that way because you can't really socialize with teammates, go for dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was a bit tough in that sense, but I think it exposed me to a new environment, a new way of coaching, new tactics, all that kind of stuff. That kind of prepared me for what was to come.
That's awesome. And that kind of leads me perfectly into the next question here of what were kind of some differences you noticed in between the playing styles in Poland versus back here in Canada?
Um, I'd probably say. Europe, I think Europe in general is very cutthroat.
Mhm.
It can be a lot for someone. I think it kind of depends also what environment you're in, what kind of coaching philosophy you're exposed to. When I first came to Cavs, I really enjoyed the environment, but it was also very demanding.
Yeah.
I think the play style that we play at Cavs, especially with what how Tommy wants to play, I think it fits my game really well.
Yeah.
In Poland, it was a little more where I was playing was a little more transitional, less playing with the ball, and I don't think that fits. I mean, I can do the job, but I don't
Mhm.
think that fits my game. Ideally, I want to be in possession of the ball, and I think that's why Cavs has been such a good fit.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
That's
that's why.
awesome. That's awesome. And what are some things that you kind of apply from your early days of playing, whether it be University, Whitecaps Academy, or over in Poland, that you now kind of get to apply with Cavalry?
I'd say when I was growing up, I always focused on technique. I think the basis of any good professional is their technique and mastering the skills of the basics. I think if you can nail down the basics, you give yourself a good platform to develop, especially playing with both feet.
Yeah.
I think playing in the midfield, especially, has helped me transition to more of a center back role, and now I can
Yeah.
do a bit of both. Playing in the midfield, you have to look around 360 versus when you're at the back, you got the whole pitch in front of you.
Mhm.
Um, but it develops different parts of my game, and whether it's being more of a leader in the back or it's covering ground in the midfield, I think that kind of helped me a lot. In the Whitecaps Academy, um, I had a really good coach. One that kind of I remember quite fondly of is Robert Earnshaw. He used to play over in England. He had a
Yeah.
big career there. So when he finished his playing days, he started coaching in the academy, and he taught me a lot of good things. And one thing that stuck with me is doing the right things every single day, even when you don't want to, or you have a tough day, is doing the basics and showing up and keeping your standards high. And I think that's kind of what I took from my Whitecaps days. And then in terms of university, I think the biggest challenge, I think most players will say that um, playing two games every weekend is physically very demanding.
Yeah.
So 90 minutes back to back is almost unheard of.
Well, that's
Uh,
crazy.
so yeah, obviously the level's a little lower,
Yeah.
and I guess the speed of play and all that would be impacted. But especially when you get to the pro level, it's maybe helps your adjustment period a little bit. It's still a quite a big jump.
Mhm.
I think that definitely puts your body in more of a rhythm and to get yourself ready for the how physically demanding the pro level is.
That's awesome. And now, speaking of the pro level, of course, the CPL is heading into its eighth season. Can you kind of, as a young Canadian guy, tell us about how important it is to have a league in Canada to help develop the next generation, essentially?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I think without this, a lot of players are looking abroad. And as we
Mhm.
know, when you go abroad, it's unknown territory. It's very difficult to get in because not only do you have to be as good as everyone there, you probably have to be better because they're not going to take you if they can just take someone locally.
Yeah.
So that makes it a lot more difficult. I think the CPL gives players like myself a great platform to show themselves and show how good Canadian footballers are. And it gives them a platform to kind of see where they can go next. And I think that's what the whole point of the league is,
Yeah.
show how good Canadian soccer players are. Yeah, so I think it's crucial, especially heading into a World Cup year. The Canadians men's national team is doing phenomenally well.
Yeah.
So it's a really exciting time.
That's awesome. And we kind of already touched upon this that you've played midfield and as center back. Can you kind of talk to us about the transition? Because I believe it was you started as a midfielder. Could you tell us how that transition came for you to then drop back further back the pitch and become a center back?
Yeah, so it happened in my first year. When we were initially I was seen as a midfielder. That's how I
Mhm.
guess gained my contract. And then an unfortunate injury happened to a center mid and a center back during my first year. So I stepped into center midfield, and
Yeah.
then the results weren't really going our way, and I think Tommy wanted to make a change, and he threw me back there, and kind of he understood my profile. I'm a bigger sized guy.
Yeah.
I have the technique to kind of play the style that we wanted to play in terms of playing out of the back, and being front footed and a possession team. So I think it was a good fit. And obviously in my first year, I want to play as much as possible. So I'm
Yeah.
open to
Yeah.
anything. Um, so I think it was I think it was a good fit. And yeah, that's kind of how it came of it. I don't think it was planned,
Mm.
but it worked out. I think I'm developing each day, learning more and more from the more experienced guys on the team. And then every game that I have is just more experience under my belt.
That's awesome. And how does your reading of the game kind of change depending on being deployed as the center back versus as the center mid? Because you have gone back to playing center mid on a few occasions since your first season.
Yeah, I think it's definitely you have to have a quick mindset and change the way you think a little bit about the game, especially as a center back. Everything's in front of you, but you also have to be very defense first minded. If you make a mistake there or you're out of position, more than likely, the other team has a really good chance in scoring a goal. So I think that kind of positioning and covering for your teammates is really important. In the midfield, you're kind of in the thick of it. You got
Yeah.
to be able to make the opposing box to try and get on the edge of the box to try and score, but you also have to be able to track back and cover ground to help the team defend. So, and I think you're a connector. You're progressing passes. You're doing a bit of everything. So, I think it's only helped me develop. The differences in mindset are definitely there, but I think my ability and how I've played over the years, I've been able to adapt kind of the ability to play in both positions and kind of switch when I need to.
Yeah.
Still learning, so it's definitely a learning curve that takes quite a bit of time. But I think day by day I'm getting better and better at it.
That's awesome. I can tell you, as someone that watches league, you are definitely a very good center back in the league for sure. So don't be too hard on yourself. And now I have a couple fun ones for you here, just to kind of break it up for you. So Cavalry, of course, are no strangers to being the first team in the CPL to do a certain thing, whether it is to be the first ones to be an MLS side or be a Liga MX side. So my question for you here is, would you rather be the first CPL side to win the Can Champ or the first one to do the double of the league title and the playoffs?
Um, I'm gonna say the double,
Yeah,
just because it's two trophies versus one, and
fair.
I'm always looking to put more trophies in my cabinet. So I think that's what Cavalry is built on. It's a team that's designed to win trophies. It's always our goal at the beginning of the season, and I'm sure every team starts
Mhm.
like that. But I think there's a pedigree when you come to Cavalry, and that's the expectation. I'll be honest, that is what
Yeah,
we go into every season, and that's the expectation. So last year is a bit of a blip for us,
yeah,
so we're going to get back to winning ways.
awesome. And since we're coming back from your off season, what's something that you miss most about getting to play in front of that home crowd and just getting to play week in, week out? What's something during the off season where like, man, I really miss this.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the biggest, as most guys say, they love their fans, but I think our fans are truly special. I think
Yeah.
playing in Space Meadows is unbelievable. The atmosphere, um, the pitch is almost always immaculate, and yeah, it's a real pleasure to play in front of those fans. And that's kind of what you miss in the off season. I think,
Mhm.
especially with unable to deliver a trophy last year, we missed the CONCACAF this year,
Mhm.
and like we did in the previous year in beating a Liga MX team. I think we miss that kind of competition and the ability to play against contenders in our continent. And that feeling, I think, of beating Pumas in Langford,
Yeah.
I think that's something that everyone strives for, and we want to get back to that. We want to challenge and be the first team to move to the next round of CONCACAF. So I think we've shown that we can do those kinds of things, but it's kind of up to us to leave it on the field now and prove this season that we can, and hopefully in front of our fans.
That's awesome. And one final one of these fun ones here. If you could partner any center back in the world, which center back would you like to lace up next to?
Um, Say Ramos, just because I
Ramos?
think I think I'd say he's got a bit of a fiery personality that would
Yeah.
go hand in hand with a bit of my calmness. So I think
Even each other out then in that sense. That's awesome. And of course, you've had many proud moments in your career. What could you say is maybe the proudest so far?
um, obviously I think getting my first real professional experience with Cavalry, I think that'll always be a highlight. To winning two trophies, one in my first year
Yeah.
is kind of it's something I'm really proud of to come from U Sports and then to play almost I don't know I was in the top five of most minutes in that year played, so that's something I'm really proud of. Um, but I think nothing kind of beats last year's CONCACAF run.
Yeah.
Uh, that's pretty special to be the first team to beat a Liga MX team, and then to go to their place and be one goal short. To be honest, I know I had a big chance that I still kicked myself from. Those are the types of games you want to play in hostile environments, in front of thousands of fans. That's something that's pretty special and be a memory that I'll take for a while.
That's awesome. And I want to ask you a little bit about that game in particular, because I'd love to take you back to that night of becoming the first CPL side to beat a Liga MX side. What are those emotions and what are those celebrations at full time, knowing that you guys just pulled off a huge upset, becoming history makers in the process? Like, what was that? What was that like to hear that full time whistle after that?
Yeah, pretty special. I think there's a lot that goes into it other than performing on one night. I think our performances against Orlando the previous year were disappointing, but I think we that experience helped us immensely to
Hmm.
prepare for something like Pumas. I know we needed to be a little bit more defensive minded and making sure we don't uh, create any unforced errors that would lead them to scoring a goal. Um, yeah, but look, it was a snowy. I think it snowed the 1 or 2 days before they
Yeah.
cleared the pitch, so it was a cold night, which we knew would kind of factor in a little bit, make it uncomfortable for them, and make them come in and know that they're going to be in there for a battle. I think the goal we gave up was a little bit soft from our end, and kind of we were slightly off on pressing and stepping and covering each other,
Hmm.
and then we got two unbelievable finishes that put us ahead. So Toby's one I think will be remembered for a while, and Charlie now that's left the team, but he left the
Hmm.
team in a really good spot,
Yeah.
uh, and he's done lots for the club. So those kind of moments you remember. They're small, I guess, small pictures, but they mean a lot. But I guess after that, it was pretty surreal that we just did that. But I think the focus quickly shifted to one. Now we've done that. What's
Yeah.
next? So we quickly thought maybe it's really possible to be the first team to advance in this competition, and we are close, but um, yeah, no, it wasn't our night.
Yeah, but that was such like a cool moment, especially for the CPL just in general, and then for you guys as well. As you had said, coming up short to Orlando the season before to then going like Pumas, they're no, they're no easy team, you know what I mean? So like watching that game was just generally just such a cool experience, and I'm so glad that you guys and the league got to experience that because it genuinely was just such a great moment, really. And moving into another great moment of your career, um, want to talk about one of the biggest moments that a CPLer can have, and that is, of course, winning the North Star Cup come the end of a season. You did it in such convincing fashion as well. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit about winning that North Star Cup and kind of what that kind of meant for you and your career and just everything?
Yeah. It was a year where I had a few injuries that where there weren't any long-term injuries, but they were little niggles that took me in and out of the team. So it was a bit of a tougher year for me. But I think the biggest thing I take from that year is the how together the group was. I think that we started the season. I could be wrong, but it was a series of draws. We
Mhm.
couldn't get a win on the board, and then something switched halfway through the year. We started winning on the road, week in, week out. We were convincing at home, and kind of we rode that kind of wave all the way through playoffs, and then
Yeah.
we were doubted again as the team that can't win in playoffs, and then we kind of shut all that out and stayed together as a group, and I guess the momentum. I think momentum's a huge thing in playoffs, especially in a one game knockout.
Yeah.
Momentum's everything. And when the team is kind of firing on all cylinders and the group's together, and no matter who's starting or who's coming off the bench, when we're all kind of together and working towards our main goal, then I think nothing could stop us. And you saw in the final, we were really convincing. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
super
awesome.
proud moment, and yeah, and we're hoping for a few more of those.
100%. And can you kind of tell us a little bit about, because I've always wondered of, having to come off of a regular season where it's been long and grueling and, just tough all around travel, whatnot. What's that mentality like of you got into the playoffs, but then now you have to have that another almost mentality switch of like, now we have to go in there laser focus and just keep on racking up wins to get to the final and then get the trophy.
Hmm. I mean, I think that was a I guess an example of that was this year. We finished the year in third, not something that we initially a goal that we set out for ourselves. We always aim for the to be the top, but for some reason we just couldn't find the back of the net on multiple games, or we were giving up easy chances. But then playoffs came, and it's look, anything can happen in a like I said in a one game
Yeah.
knockout. So. It started with we said there's 3 games left in the season. We got one at home, and then we have to go on the road to two of the best teams in the league that year.
Yeah.
Um, and look, we were a shot off of winning another cup, and we're having a different conversation.
Mhm.
So I think again, I'll point to our mentality that we said we have 3 games left, and there is going to be 3 games. We're not going to make it so there's two or one.
Yeah.
Uh, there was always going to be 3 games last year. That's the kind of mentality I think we walked into every game with. But we knew every game was going to be a challenge, and we're not going to look ahead. Um, we're going to do the job in front of us. So I think that kind of mentality helps everything. And then I think also we finished the year with a bit of momentum, and like I said, momentum is a lot in a one game knockout. So um, yeah, it's a long, grueling season. That's why I think a lot of people say that the ones that win the regular season, it's the hardest trophy to win because
Mhm.
you have to be consistent week in, week out. But the playoffs is a different type of competition,
Yeah.
and and it requires, I guess, a bit of tactical nuance or and a bit of focus, yeah, laser focus for 90 plus minutes.
That's awesome. And we kind of always harp on about, you learn something when you're on the losing end, but can you kind of tell us a little bit about what do you learn when you win? Like you have, of course, been a part of some great moments, great like trophy lifts and everything. What do you learn those moments that you've got the job done? Like what do you learn about yourself, about your team, and just about everything you guys have worked for?
I think you figure out what worked and what hasn't. I think
Yeah.
there's still learning moments to take from a title winning season. But I think the biggest thing that you learn is that you want more and you're not satisfied.
Yeah.
I'll put it simply, that's the reason you come back the following year. And Forge has done it to their credit for a number of years. They repeatedly win titles. And I think that's something that Cavalry is also neck and neck with them in terms of competing for titles week or year in year out. So
Yeah.
I think you grow hungrier. I think you want to prove it again. And the people that say now we can't do the double. In my first year, we were 1-0 up in extra time with I don't remember the exact time, maybe 20 minutes to go
Yeah.
from doing the double.
Yeah.
And I think it's those moments that you want to be the first person or to prove everyone else that we're the best team and we want to compete for as many trophies as we can.
That's awesome. And I have just a couple more for you here. Going into this new season, what's that vibe like in around the training ground? How's everyone feeling? What's kind of what are the vibes? What's the feeling for this coming season?
Yeah, it's exciting. I think there was a bit of turnover this year, which is look, turnover chemistry is one thing, but also sometimes you need a bit of change.
Mm,
Um, I think that's what the team has this year, and I think there's a lightness in the group and a fun energy and camaraderie, but there's also a hunger that we didn't deliver last year. Let's be honest,
mm.
and that's something we want to change for this year and be the most dominant version of ourselves.
That's awesome. And what are some goals that you have heading into this season, whether it be individually or as a team?
Yeah, I mean, collectively, I think the first thing that comes up is that we're in three competitions: the Can Champ, and then there's two trophies at the end of the season, one for the regular season, and the playoffs. So that's obviously something we have our eyes set on. But I think we're focused on the process of maintaining our standards, leaning into the way that we want to play, and little tactical changes here and there, and our energy levels, and making sure that's consistent week in, week out, no matter who the opponent is. I think that's something we went away from a little bit last year, and we some days we'd show up, some days we were a little bit off it. I think that that's something kind of we set for ourselves that no matter who's against us or who's across from us, whether it's preseason, whether it's a regular season game, that we're gonna attack them with everything we got. So yeah, it's a fun group to be a part
Yeah.
of. I think there's a lot of interesting new faces that I think will add a lot to the team.
Yeah.
Uh, but let's not forget that there's a big part of this team that's still here,
Yeah.
and that winning mentality doesn't leave this team.
Awesome. And what is some advice that you'd like to give a young Canadian who's maybe looking to follow in the footsteps of playing CPL, playing university level? Like if you give them some advice, what would that be?
Um, yeah, I guess I'd say commit to or know what your goals are.
Mhm.
Whatever you have in your mind, push for it as much as you can, and kind of work and enjoy the work because it's not an easy road.
Yeah.
Um, I can say that for myself, and I know everyone else as a professional has had bumps and little challenges along the way. But I think you have to enjoy it. If you don't enjoy the work and don't enjoy coming into work and training to get better, even when it's tough, I think it'll be you'll quickly figure out that it might not be for you, but
Mm.
hopefully it is, and keep pushing and doing what you love. I think that's the biggest thing. Enjoy
Aw-
it and commit to it.
Awesome. That's some great advice there. And my final one for you, what is one thing you'd like the Cavalry faithful to know about you heading into this upcoming season?
That we're going for three trophies, and we're hoping
Awesome.
for the support every weekend, and we feel it, and we're excited to put a show on for them.
That's awesome. Eryk, I just want to take a second. I want to thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. I absolutely love your mentality here. I wish you absolutely nothing but the best heading into this 2026 season, and hopefully you get some trophies added to your cabinet.
Awesome. Thanks very much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Eryk. So that does wrap up our interview with Eryk Kobza. I really, really hope that you enjoyed it. I loved getting to sit down and talk to him. Just a great guy and absolutely adore the mentality that he has. That seems like all of Cavalry seems to share. You love to see that at the highest level here in Canada. But yeah, if you enjoyed this one, I think you'll probably enjoy some of the other interviews that we have done. If you're listening to this on YouTube, then I do have an entire playlist dedicated to just interviews. So go check that out. It will be linked at the end of this video. If you're listening to this on other podcasting platforms, I do apologize. There's no way to make a playlist, at least that I know of. So one, if you do know of that way, let me know. And two, you may just have to search it up or come over to YouTube, watch it on YouTube. And yeah, once again, thank you to Eryk and Cavalry for letting that happen. Really enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. And yeah, thank you so much. We got so much fun stuff planned here at Maple Footy. I really hope that you're enjoying the start of this year. I think we're only going to get better from here. So thank you so much for listening. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates. Remember to support Canadian football, be kind, and until next time, live, laugh, little.